Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, Samir, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's start now. Okay, so let's begin now. So as already we have discussed the Azure Databricks, I'll just brush it up once and then we'll continue. So when we talk about the Azure Databricks, so this is a cloud service. This is what said cloud service. It is a cloud service provided by Microsoft. It is a cloud service provided by Microsoft to perform the following jobs. What is that? Data migration, data integration, okay, then data summarization, okay, and also we can use it for data visualization. Okay, so these are all the jobs we can perform it by using the Azure Databricks. Whereas the Azure Databricks is basically, okay, is designed and developed based on a technique that is called as ETL. What does ETL stands for? We have already discussed. What is it? Extraction,
Transformation,
yeah, transformation,
load.
and loading. That's it. Whereas it also supports one of the new technique introduced, ELT. Okay. Whereas ELT stands for what? Extraction, loading, and transformation. Whereas this technique is specially introduced focusing on, yeah, this is specially introduced focusing on visualization process. What is that? Data visualization process. It is specially introduced based on the data visualization process. Okay. So because the whole world is now dependent upon the data visualization, okay, reporting and everything. So that is the main reason for developing of this technique. Okay. Whereas the ADB Azure Databricks, that means Databricks we are using in Azure, it supports both the techniques, ETL and as well as the ELT. Okay. ETL and as well as the ELT, both it supports. So when it comes to this, okay, here the story when we talk about, the story starts from the data, guys. Data. So data means what? Information. So when we talk about the data and the information, so the information and data, we get it from where? The data and information, whatever we say, we get it from the business. Am I right? We get it from the business. So ultimately, when we talk about the data or the information, we get it from the business. So what type of business we can have it? From where we can get the data? Yes, guys. Let's talk very simple. Okay. So we get the data from where? Various sources of data. Whereas the primary source of getting the data, let us say for our understanding, we get the data from the social networking sites. Okay, we get the data from the banking applications, and also we get the data from what is that live streaming process. Live streaming process. So what is the live streaming process, guys? Everyone, live streaming is nothing but the stock market where the data, we receive the data constantly and it will keep on fluctuating. Am I right? So that is called as what? Live streaming process. Okay, and even the live cricket match we have it. So these are all the sources of getting the data where when we talk about the data, so we receive the data from these sources or the business where this data is called as what? Big data, guys. It is called as what? Big data. So what do you mean by the big data now? Yes, what do you mean by the big data? So when we talk about the big data, yes, when we talk about the big data, so what is the big data? Big data is nothing but what? Big means what? Huge. Huge. Data means what? Information. So we can say huge information. Okay. Huge information is called as what? Big data. Huge information is called as what? Big data, guys. Huge information is called as what? Big data. Whereas the big data is classified, okay, into three types. That means we can have three type of big data, or the data is divided into three categories. What is that? The first one is called as a structured data. So you know already what is the structured data. Structured data is nothing but what? A data kept in the proper form of a table. That is in the form of what is that? Rows and columns. That is in the form of what? Rows and columns is called as what? Structured data, which anyone can understand it very easily. Whereas the second category of the data, we can say here it as a semi-structured data, guys. Semi-structured data means what? Just tell me. Semi-structured data means what? The data which is kept. Okay, the data, the user cannot, fully cannot understand it, but still the user can understand the data. Okay, that is nothing but the data kept in the form of a JSON file, which stands for JavaScript object notation file, which we have discussed already in the last class. Okay, and then we have what is that? JSON file, and then we have the HTML file, which is nothing but hypertext markup language. Then the data is kept in the XML files. Okay, all this is called as what is that? That is called as what? Semi-structured data. Okay. So now, guys, the next one, the third one is called as what? Unstructured data. Unstructured data means what? Everyone, the normal data, even we have it in my mobile phones. What is that? Your photos, chat histories. Okay. All this is called as what? Unstructured data. All this is called as what? Unstructured data. Whereas, guys, we have discussed already now this what is structured, semi-structured, unstructured. In the last class, I explained you everything. Am I right? Yes, guys,
Yes, sir.
please respond. So now just let's move further. So here we have what is structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. So unstructured means what? The normal photos you have it, and then you have what is it? Videos. Okay, photos, videos, and chat histories, and also voice notes. This all comes under what? Unstructured data. This all comes under what is that? Unstructured data. This all comes under what? Unstructured data. Whereas when we work in the real time, guys, only 20% of the data we get it into this form. That is called as what? Only 20% of the data we get it into the structured and semi-structured. Only 20% of the data we get it into what's it? Structured and semi-structured. But what about the rest of the data, guys? The rest of the data, we get it in what? Only 20%. That means only 20% of the data, we get it in what? Structured and semi-structured format. Whereas 80% of the data, yes, whereas 80% of the data, we get it in which form? In the unstructured form. Whereas the major responsibility of a data engineer to convert this unstructured data to the semi-structured and as well as to the structured data. Okay. So how to deal with this kind of data, that we are going to see it using the Azure Databricks. Okay, guys. So now let's begin with the Azure, okay, storages. So this kind of data, whatever we have it, that is called as structured data, semi-structured data, or the unstructured data. Okay. In Azure, see, in Azure, we require to store in the storages. That means what? Called as what? Azure storages. So Azure storages means what? We require to hold the data. Na? In Azure, we require to hold the data. So where do we keep this data? Because this data is not generated by us. We receive this data from the source of business. And simply what we require to do, we have to prepare the data, we have to process the data, we have to, what is that? Summarize the data, and then we have to visualize the data. That is our job. But our job is not to generate the data. We get the data, that's it. Okay. So where do we store that for all this process? That is not even preparing the data, okay, cleansing the data, cleaning the data, visualizing the data, okay, reporting the data. Where do we store for all this? We require some source to store the data. So for that, we use what? Azure storages. And these Azure storages are common for any service of Azure. That means if you're using ADB, or else if you're using ADF, or if you're using Synapse, or if you're using Fabric, or if you're using Fabric, any service we use it for all these services, guys. For or else we are using uh, that is AI, artificial intelligence, Azure, and Azure machine learning. If you're using any of the service, for all these services, the storages are common. That means commonly we have to take the data from these storages. So now, when we talk about the storages, totally we have 90 plus storages. How many? 90 plus storages. Some of the storages I'll just list you here. That is called as what? Azure Blob Storage. This is the very basic storage, guys. This is the very basic storage. Okay. In some other cloud services, that is called as Amazon Web Services, or else we can say GCP, Google Cloud Platform. We call what is it? S3 storages. Okay, simply simple three storages. Okay, S3 storage. S3 storage is just similar to the Azure Blob Storage, where we can store any kind of a data. What is that? Any kind of a data. What is that? Any kind of a data means what? We can store either the structured data, guys. We can store even there is a structured data. We can store the semi-structured data, and now we can also store what is that? Unstructured data as well. So we can store what's that? Unstructured data as well. So we can store any kind of a data into the Azure Blob Storage, whereas this is a limited storage. Okay, where we can store a limited data here. Okay, whereas, okay, whereas here the advanced storage than the Azure Blob storage and the unlimited storage is provided with one more storages introduced recently, that is called as what? Azure Data Lake Gen 2. Whereas between this Azure Data Lake Gen 2 and Azure Blob Storage, there was one more storage. Okay, there was one more storage that is called as what? Azure. Yes, guys. Azure.
Gen 1.
Yes, Data Lake Gen 1. Whereas this is going to retire in this 2024. So hence they have stopped giving the service for the Azure Data Lake Gen 1. So right now we have migrated, and Azure recommends the users to migrate from the Gen 1 to the Gen 2 storages. And here the Gen 2 storage is an unlimited storage where it can store any kind of a data. What is that? Any kind of a data, that is called as what? Structured, semi-structured, and as well as the unstructured. All this data can be stored into the Azure Data Lake Gen 2, whereas 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 it stores the data in a DFS format. What is that? Distributed file format. What it is? Distributed file format. Distributed file format. The data is distributed across multiple files. So that is called as what? Distributed file format. Such as if you have 1,000 rows, for example, I'm telling you, if you have 1,000 rows, one file is there. One file consisting of 1,000 rows. Okay, one file consisting of 1,000 rows. And now you wanted to distribute that Yes, you wanted to distribute that. Yes, you wanted to distribute that 5 rows data. Yes, you wanted to distribute that 5 rows data into what is that? Uh, that is something but 250 rows for each that is file. So now how many files are created? 4 files. Each file consists of 250 rows. So likewise, it is called as what? Distributed file format. So the data is distributed across multiple files. We can store the data in what? Multiple distributed form here. That is called as what? DFS. Anyways, about the DFS, we will learn in detail once we start the subject on this. Okay. And the next one, which is called as what? Azure SQL database. Azure SQL database. Azure SQL database means what? Using of SQL database into the cloud technology. That is called as Azure SQL database. And if you say Azure SQL database means what? It can store only the structured data. No other kind of data is stored here except the structured. So the next one is called as what? Azure Cosmos DB, guys. Cosmos DB. That is called as what? Cosmos database, where it is also referred as no SQL database. That means we don't use the SQL. And if we don't use the SQL, there will be no relational rules. And when there is no relational rules, so we can store any kind of a data. So hence, this supports two type of data. What is that? We can store the structured and the semi-structured data. We can store it here. That means we can store the data in the form of tables, as well as we can store the files as well. Files means what? JSON file we can store. Okay. And we can store the that is nothing but HTML file, XML file, any kind of thing we can store it here. And the fifth type of thing or fifth type of storage is called as what? Azure uh, Elastic Pool. Basically, when you talk about the elastic pool is the collection of multiple databases. Multiple databases, we store it at a place. Multiple databases we can store in a place, that is called as what? Elastic pool. So hence, when you talk about the database or the elastic pool, it can store only the, yes guys, only the structured data. And now the next one I can say here as the Azure Synapse Analytics. Azure Synapse Analytics. So whereas when we talk about the Azure Synapse Analytics, so Azure Synapse Analytics is basically a data, it is called as a data warehouse of Azure. So guys, what is the data warehouse of Amazon? The Amazon has a data warehouse called what? Redshift. In the same way, what is the data warehouse of yes, GCP, Google Cloud Platform, guys? That is called as a BigQuery. So likewise, every cloud has its own data warehouse, and here in Azure, we have the data warehouse as what? Azure Synapse Analytics. So which is called as what? Data warehouse of Azure. Data warehouse of Azure. That's it. Okay. So guys, these are the some of the storages. Whereas if you want to see all the storages, let us go to the the web page of the Azure. So to start with the web page, yeah, please tell me. Yeah, Swati, you raise your hand.
Sir, yes, sir.
Tell
So,
me.
sir, what is the difference between means database and data warehouse?
Yeah, very good question. Just a minute, I will tell you that. So now here you have what's that? Uh, okay, before we begin and I show you how these storages appear, let us say first of all, I will give you a brief, a very basic this thing so that you can understand it in a better way. Guys, actually this is not the part of our thing, but I'll explain you, no problem. Database. So my means what? A database is a place where the data is recorded in the form of a table. Am I right? Database is a place where the data is recorded in the form of a table. Whereas the database is further based on the data, further based on the data is divided into two type of databases. That means further it is divided into two type of databases. What is that? I'll tell you. The first one is called as what? Transaction database. The first one is called as what? Transaction database. And the second one is called as what? Data warehouse database. Now, you must be getting a doubt now. Why the database is divided into two type of databases? What is this transaction database and what is this data warehouse? I'll tell you in short. Here, the database transaction database is recorded to hold the data in detail, in detail, in detail, in detail. And these records are used for what? Verification and validation. Verification and what is it? Validation. These records are used for what? Verification and validation. The data in a data warehouse, the data in a data warehouse is recorded in which manner here? It is recorded in the summarized manner. It is recorded in the summarized manner. And these records are used for what? Analysis. That's it. Now, still, I think the point is not clear for you, but I'll tell you an example. Now, ma, you wanted to buy a book for, you wanted to buy a book for, guys, you wanted to buy a book. Okay, we'll take a normal example. You wanted to buy a book for English story book, you want to buy it. Okay, what is that? English story book you want to buy. Some storybook, that's it. You will have been to the shop now. Now, as book housery, you have been to a book housery or a book library or something like that. Now tell me, when you go to this book library, and you ask the shopkeeper to show you the books for English storybooks you want, you asked him. So he showed you a rack where the rack consisting of 1,000 books are there, 1,000 different authors' books are there. Now you tell me, when you have 1,000 different author books are there and you wanted to buy one or two books, is it possible for you to read all the books at the shop itself and take the decision or not? Tell me, ma'am. Yes? Are you getting my question, first of all?
No, sir.
See, first of all, you have been to a book house or book shop you have been. You wanted to buy a book for English storybook you want to buy. And now you ask the shopkeeper to show you the English storybooks you want to buy it. So because you are not aware about the authors and type of thing, he showed you some rack. In that rack, you have some 1,000 different books are there. English storybooks are there. Now you wanted to buy one or two book, not more than that. But is it possible for you to check all the 1,000 books there at the shop itself?
No, no.
Not possible. Am I right? But how do you take the decision of purchasing which book? Tell me, how do you take a decision of
By
purchasing?
selecting author or something.
Author is one criteria. Second criteria is what? Second criteria is what? Anything, it's not constant. You can take anything. That's not a problem. Tell me. Okay. So what you will do is, the book is divided into two parts. Have you ever observed it? The book is divided into two parts. One part is nothing but called as what? Index paper. Am I right or not? Index paper. So what does that index paper consist of? Can you tell me? What is that index paper or prefix paper? What does it consist of? That
shows list of topics.
Yes, exactly. That is nothing but the topic and the page number. Let us say this is English book, story book, and you have a story, and the story name is called The Little Angel. Little Angel. Page number 10 to 40. So likewise, the list of all the, can you see here? The list of all the, topics or the stories covered in this book is given here. Okay. The second one is the tiger story. Okay. The tiger story, page number 41 to 78, something like this. So simply what you will do, you will refer the number of topics or number of, the stories covered and then you can take a decision very easily. Am I right or not? Rather than reading the book from the second paper, that is index paper is the first paper. Now from the second paper till the end of the book, it's not possible for you to read it at the shop itself. So simply what you will do, simply you will read the index paper and take a decision. Am I right or not?
Yes.
Yes. But whereas if you wanted to know what is that you have it, what is this little angel story, so where you need to check? You need to go and check in the page number 10 to 40. That page number 10 to 40 means what? Detailed book. Detailed book. Am I right or not? Detailed book, you need to check it here. So in the detailed book, what you are going to do? You are going to start reading at the 10th paper and end the reading at the 40th paper, where everything is given in detail about the story. So now tell me, so if you want to know the detail of the book, you need to start reading from 10 to 40 paper. But if at all you want to know what is that, how many stories are covered in that, simply you need to check the index paper. Now tell me, you are going to take a decision by reading the index paper or by reading the detailed book? Tell me now. At the shop.
Index.
Obviously, you will take the index paper. But now, index paper is developed on what? The detailed book or what? Am I right? The
Yes.
index paper, yes, the index paper is developed on the book. That means the book is written first, then the shortcut of the same book with the topic name or the story name along with the page number is written in the index paper. Am I right? Am I right or not? So
Yes,
that
sir.
means, yes, that means the index paper is your data warehouse. The detailed part of the book is your transaction database. The book is nothing but your database. Getting my point now? Now it's clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Tell me if it is not clear, I'll give you some other example also. Yes, ma, it's clear now?
Yes, sir. Clear.
So this is the, that means we can say that the data in a data warehouse is used for what? Analysis. Analysis means what? You're comparing the book one, can you see here, the book one index paper with the book two index paper. Book two index
Likewise,
paper
it's
with the,
historical data.
yeah, in detail, technically we can say historical data, that's different. But now at this point of time, at this juncture, just I wanted to give a brief idea about this data warehouse. That's the reason I took this example. Okay, ma? So that means to take the decision of purchasing the book or not, simply you will refer the index paper. That means you're referring the index paper of all the, it is possible to read the index paper of all the books. That means you're unknowingly comparing one book with the another book. That means you're doing what? When the comparative study comes, it is called as the analysis. It is called as what? Analysis. It is called as what? Analysis. But now, if you have to compare the index of 1,000 books, it is not possible for you to do it manually. Am I right? So for that, one more technique is introduced here. That is called as what? OLAP, which stands for what? Online, yes,
Analytical
online analytical process.
process.
Online analytical process. Whereas on this particular online analytical process, now we have the softwares or the services. In the cloud, we have the service called Power BI in Azure. Okay. We have the thing called what? Power BI is there. So using the Power BI, we just visualize it. But whereas, can you see this Power BI, we can integrate it with the ADB and perform the job. That means here to convert the detailed data into the summarized form, yes, to convert the detailed data into the summarized form, we use a technique called what? ETL here. That is called what? Extraction, transformation, loading. And this we are doing it by using what's that? ADB here. Okay. This we are doing it by what? ADB. Further, once it is done, the transaction, that means the whole job is done here, then we are going to perform what? Analysis. So this analysis we are doing it by using what? Power BI, or we can say Azure AI, or else based on the data we can use the machine learning if it is some predictive kind of data, etc. So these are all the techniques or the services we use it here. Okay, so this is the part how we started. So everyone is clear with the concept now. So guys, shall we start with the Databricks now? Yes. So now let's start with the Azure Databricks. So when we talk about the Azure Databricks, so when we talk about the Azure Databricks, okay. So guys, when we talk about the Azure Databricks, okay. So now the Azure Databricks, how does it works? Or we can say the working pattern of Azure Databricks or the components of Azure Databricks, whatever you say, no problem. So here, this is the hierarchy it follows. What is it? Azure Databricks session requires what is that? The first one is called as resource group. So we can have one or many resource group for a Databricks session, whereas the resource group is the collection of what is that? Workspace. Workspace. What is that? Workspace. Now, the workspace is the collection of one or more. What is that? Clusters.
Cluster.
And whereas the cluster is the collection of what is that? Finally,
Notebook.
Notebooks.
notebooks. Exactly. Now, cluster is the collection of the notebooks or a notebook, whatever we call it. So this is the hierarchy we have it. So resource group is nothing but what? It is just a folder, man, nothing else. It is just a folder. Notebook is nothing but what? It is just a folder, a normal folder we can say. But whereas here, the whole process, workspace, cluster, notebook, everything will be recorded in the resource group only. If you delete this resource group, everything is removed. It is just like you can say in one resource group, for just example sake, I'm telling you, one project data is stored here in one resource group. Project 1 data is stored in the resource group 1. Project 2 data is stored in the resource group 2. Likewise, the whole data is recorded in the resource group. Now, workspace. So what do you mean workspace now? Guys, this is the Zoom link. We all are connected at 9 a.m. every day. Am I right or not? This is the Zoom link. We are connected at 9 a.m. Am I right? This is the Zoom link. We have it and we are connected at 9 a.m. Now, we all are from different locations. Am I right? Different locations. But still we are able to connect it. Am I right or not? That means Zoom link is providing all of us interface to get connected at a time and take up the session. Am I right or not? Or join the session. That means Zoom link is providing all of us, Zoom link is providing all of us to connect and take up the session, to connect and take up the session at a common time using a common Zoom link. Whereas common Zoom link, that means this Zoom link is providing an interface for multiple users to work into to work or connect into the single link. Am I right or not? In the same way, a workspace is nothing but it is a collaborative environment. It's a collaborative environment. Collaborative environment. It's a collaborative environment which allows what is it? Which allows multiple users. Okay, what's that? Multiple users to work in a single session. That means what? That means what? A data engineer, guys, a data engineer, a data engineer, a data scientist, a data engineer, a data scientist, and a database architect. And then you have what's that? Data analyst. All of them, they can work into a single session or a single environment. Without leaving the environment, they can work. That is called as what? the workspace. So the workspace is providing, it will provide you a collaborative environment using which all the users can get connected and work into the session. Am I right? This is called as a workspace. This is called as what? A workspace. So everyone is clear. So the Zoom link is a workspace, guys. The Zoom link is a workspace. Using this workspace, yes, using this workspace, we are able to connect and take up the session. Am I right? So this is called as what? A workspace. That is nothing but ADB workspace. So clear, everyone? What is a workspace? Yeah, please respond, ma'am. Hello, please respond, all of you. Clear what is a workspace or not? If not, I'll repeat it once again. Okay. So the next one. The next one is what? Cluster. So what is my cluster? Cluster is nothing but group of machines, guys, group of machines working like a single machine. Group of machines working like a single machine is called as what? Cluster. That means group of machines means what? Multiple machines working like a single machine is called as what? A cluster. Okay, where the cluster has two type of machines. What is that called as what? Guys, cluster has two type of machine. What is that? Master machine, which is called as a node. Node means machine, guys. And the next one is called as what? Worker node. Master node and worker node. Now, guys, this is the Zoom link. Everyone, this is the Zoom link now. Can you tell me how many type of the users are here? Tell me now. How many type of users are here? This is a Zoom link. Now, everyone go to the Zoom link, open the participants, and now tell me how many type of users are there? Please, everyone.
15.
No, two type of users. I'm not talking about number of people, but two type of users. What is that? The first one is the host, and all of are the guest. Am I right or not? Host and guest. Am I right? Host and guest in the same way. The host is nothing but host having, that means the host has the right to record the session. The host has the right to, what is it, end the session. The host will have the right to, what is it, control the session. Am I right or not? So that is called as what? Master control. Am I right or not? Master control. So whereas we can say the host as the, yes guys, the host as the master node. The host as the master node. And what is worker? Worker is nothing but the guest. Guys, the guest is nothing but called as what? Worker node. That means if the host ends the meeting will be ended. If the host starts the recording, the recording will start. If the host stop the recording will be stopped. That means this entire session is controlled by the host. That is called as what? The host has the master rights. The host has what is that? Master right. In the same way, the cluster is the that thing, but whereas host and guest, but all of us, host and guest together, is called as what? A meeting. Am I right or not? A meeting here, a group of people, in the same way, group of people studying in a, okay, taking up the session in a single meeting link. So that means here we can say the cluster is also the same group of machines working like a single machine. Working like a single machine is called as a cluster, where the cluster has two type of users. What's that? Master node and worker node. Master node means a person who controls it. Worker node means what? Rest of the, the people who work on the instruction of the master node is called as worker node. We can have many worker node, not a single. We can have very worker nodes. Worker node 1, worker node 2, worker node 3. Likewise, we can have what? Many workers. Okay. But one master will be there. That's it. Okay. So whereas master node is nothing but what? Master node is nothing but the machine which controls the whole session. Worker node means what? The machines which work on the instructions of the master node. Okay, that is called as what? A cluster. Whereas finally, guys, notebook. So what is a notebook? Notebook is nothing but it is called as user interface book. It is called as what? User interface book, where the user writes the code in different languages such as Python, R, SQL, Python, R, SQL. Yes, guys, Python, Python, R, Python, R, SQL, and Scala. All these languages, we can write it here. Okay, guys, notebook is nothing but what? It is a user interface book where everyone, it's a user interface book where the user can write the code in the following languages. What's that? Python, R, Scala, and SQL. That's it, guys. This is the structure of the Azure Databricks. Everyone is clear? Please tell me now. If you have any doubt, now itself you can ask me, no problem, please. Okay, guys, please respond, ma, because how can I know if you people don't respond it?
Could you please repeat, sir?
Okay, definitely. Now, see, basically, a resource group is like a main folder. Na? I'll take you across here. My desktop, I'm sharing once again. Okay. Now, this is the desktop. No? See, this is the desktop where you have a folder is there. Open the folder. Open this folder. This folder having some files. That means this is the folder. Where can you see here? I have multiple folders. What is that multiple folders? I have the employee folder is there, customer folder is there. That means customer folder holds the information about the customers. Employee folder holds the information about the employees. Am I right or not? But one or many files you can have it in each folder. Now, if I delete this folder, the files in it will be deleted. Am I right or not? If I delete this folder, the files in it will be deleted. So in the same way here, the resource group is like a folder only, where you can have the data or the things related to the many different projects. So we can say resource group is like a main folder. That's it. Okay, we can have one or many resource group. It's not a restriction that you can have only one. You can have many resource groups, but resource group is like a main folder which holds the entire process. Next, what is workspace? Workspace means what? Now, this is the workspace. The Zoom link is the workspace. Now, it is allowing all of us to get connected and share the knowledge on the session. Am I right or not? Whereas, using a common link is the connectivity for all of us. Zoom is providing interface through a link. Zoom is providing interface through a link to multiple users to join and share the knowledge at the same session. Am I right or not? That is called as what? Workspace. In the same way, here we say the Zoom link, but here we say workspace, which allows multiple users to work collaboratively. That means parallelly, multiple users can work. One data engineer can work, one data scientist can work, okay, or even database architects can work, data analyst can work. All of them, they can work into the single session. That is the use and advantage of the workspace. Okay, next one, cluster. Every workspace can have a cluster. That means, can you see here? For data engineers, I will create one cluster. For data scientists, I will create one cluster. For database architect, I will create one cluster. And for data analyst, I will create one cluster. That means how many clusters are created? 1, 2, 3, and 4 clusters. Am I right or not? But every cluster will have two machines. What is it? Two machines. One is called as a master node and next one is called as what? Worker node. Based on the load of the data, can see here the worker nodes can be expanded. That means increased. But you will have only one master for one cluster. For one cluster, we can have what? Only one master node we can have it. But multiple workers we can have it. So master node, what it does? It controls the session. It controls the session. Whereas worker nodes, what does what? They depend on the master node for instructions to work. They work only on the instructions. That is such as, for example, there is a, can you see here? There is a piece of construction going on where, can you see here? You called some 10 workers, you called it. But whereas you realized that to complete this job, only 4 workers are enough. So what you will do? You will retain all the 10 workers, or you'll release the rest of the 6 workers, which is not required. Tell me now. Yes? If there is a construction piece of construction is going on, you call to complete that construction work, you call 10 workers you called. But you realize that only 4 workers are enough to complete your job. So are you going to retain all the 10 workers? If you retain them, then you have to pay till the end. Am I right or not? If you retain them till the evening, you have to pay for all the 10 workers. But you don't want to pay for all the 10 workers. So what you will do? You will hire only 4 workers. Rest of the 6 workers, you release it. Am I right or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this decision is taken by whom? By the manager. Am I right or not? By the manager. That is a manager of the construction site. In the same way here also, the same, that means the master node controls the workers. Whereas how many workers is required, that is also decided by the master node. How it decides? Based on the volume of the data. If the volume of the data is very huge, to process that data, multiple workers are needed. Multiple workers are needed. So for one cluster, guys, we can have, what is that? One master node, and the worker node can radiate from 2 to 1 lakh. 2 to, what is that? 1 lakh we can have it. 2 to 1 lakh we can have for the worker nodes. So minimum is 2, maximum is what? 1 lakh, not beyond the 1 lakh for one cluster, based on the volume of the data. Okay, that is the thing we have it in the cluster. And now finally, notebook means what? So whole process, we write it using the code only. And this code, we write it in Python, R, SQL, or Scala. That we write it in a notebook. That is called as user interface book. Once we write it here, the same is processed to the cluster, and then to the workspace, and finally it stores into the resource group. That's it. Okay. So this is how the entire structure works here. Okay, guys, everyone, clear? Yes, ma.
Yes,
It's
sir.
clear?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So now let us start with the practicals. So can you see here? I'm going ahead with the practical now. I'm sharing the screen. I think everyone, the screen is visible to all of you. I'm opening the browser. Yes, guys. So here, first of all, if you are a first time user, type it here azure.com. Type it here as what? Azure.com. Just use it. Once you use the azure.com, it is here. It's coming, just a minute. Wait. This is the actual page where you need to begin. So here you require to do what? Sign in process is needed. So click on the sign in. Initial sign in means just driving me to my page directly. Anyways, what I will do is, because I have already registered, so now I will do it as what? Azure.com. Azure.com. Sorry. Azure.com. Now click on, what is that, everyone? Can you see here? Free account. Click on the free account. Free account and start for free. start for free. And now as already I'm registered, so hence it's giving me this one. Or else you have to give your mail ID, etc., everything. And now password. And once I click on the sign in, can you see here? It says look like you're already registered. Now can you see here? Looks like you're already registered. Sign up for the pay as you go model. Click on this, sign up for a pay as you go model. Now here you have to give what is that the agreements you have to sign it, and then click on the next. Then you will have the payment gateway where you will be billed on this particular credit card or debit card, whatever you have it. Okay. So you'll be billed on this. So now just based on this, you have to provide the information. And then based on this, further you have what is that service address, whatever the address you have it, you have to give it. Click on the sign up finally. So when you give your debit or credit card, initially they will deduct only 2 rupees from your debit or credit card. And this subscription is provided for 1 month, and after that you will be converted to the pay as you go model. Okay, so that is the process you have it. And once it is done, can you see here, once you click on the sign up, once it is done guys, once it is done, once you click on the sign up, then you will be rerouted back to this page. What is that? Portal.azure.com. The page called what is that? Portal.azure.com. So this is the page where you are going to be diverted again. So now this is the page where you are going to work. Okay, everyone. Now I'll start up with the resource group. Can you see here? I'm opening the resource group. Everyone, I'm creating a resource group here. First of all, click on the create blade. This is called as the create blade, guys. Just click on the create blade. And now I'm giving the name. So what's that? ADB RG. Any name I'm using it. You can use any name. No restriction for using a name on the resource group. Click on the review. And there is no keywords to use, such as RG is not required. Anything you can use it, but I'm using this for the understanding purpose. Create the resource group. And now once the resource group is ready, can you see the resource group is ready now. It's ready now. Fine. Now guys, everyone, once the resource group is ready, can you see here? I'm opening this portal once again. Now guys, use the Azure Databricks. You have a Azure Databricks is there now. If you could not find it here, you can type it here, Azure Databricks. You can type it bricks. Likewise, you can type it here. If you're not able to, because when you're using it for the first time, these things may not be available for you. So just type it here, choose it, Azure Databricks. This is called as a Azure Databricks session. Click on the create blade. This is called as a create blade or create tab, you can say. Create blade. Now guys, first of all, you have to provide the resource group here. This is the subscription. Automatically it comes. My subscription is Samir Azure. And now here you have it. What is it? ADB RG. So select the resource group which you have created just now. Okay. If not, you can create it here also directly. We can create the resource group. It doesn't matter. Now you can create it like this. So now we require to give a name for the workspace. Any name you can use it, but I'm using the name as what? DURGASOFT workspace. What's the name of the workspace? DURGASOFT workspace. And then the pricing tier mine is a premium, so it's coming as a premium. Or else if you have a free account, use a trial account 14 days, whatever you have it. Then that's it. Click on the review. Review means it will go and check whether with the given name anything is available or not. Click on the review. Click on the create. Now guys, it's creating. So the workspace creation will take 2 to 3 minutes of time. You will have to wait this. Now it's creating, guys. Just let us wait. The workspace is being prepared. So this will take always 2 to 3 minutes time to prepare. So just wait. तेज है बुखार? हाँ जी, तेज है. Okay, so let's wait, guys. It's creating. Okay, guys. Okay, refresh it. Now, guys, it's ready now, everyone. So the workspace is ready. Go to the resource now. That means the workspace is ready now. So once the workspace is ready, we have to launch the workspace. Launch means starting the workspace here. Okay. So for launching it, everyone, let's see. Can you see it? Launching. Now the workspace is launching. Can you see here? This is some documentation, you have it. Getting started documentation, import data files documentation, import data from Azure storages documentation. These are documentations, guys, all documentations if you want. Just can you see it? And here, can you see it? The status is active, resource group is ADB RG, location is East US, subscription is Azure somewhere, and this is my subscription ID. And this is nothing but manage resource group. It is created by the Azure Databricks, and this is a URL, how it is connected, and the pricing tier is premium. Launch it now. Launch it. Now, guys, everyone. Now, guys, it's ready now. Can you see it? The workspace is ready. So next one is what? You have to create the cluster. Can you see here, guys? Resource group is ready. The first step is completed. Second step is the workspace is ready. The third step is what? We have to create the cluster. Everyone, okay? So creating the cluster. So come here. The left blade, click on the compute. And now, guys, so basically, when you talk about the cluster, you will have these various types of cluster. What's that? All-purpose cluster, job cluster, SQL warehouse cluster, pool cluster. Four type of clusters are there basically. The clusters are of four types. So I can say here, okay, I can tell you here, cluster, types of clusters, everyone. Types of cluster. So we can have the following type of cluster. All-purpose cluster means what? All-purpose means we can create it for all purpose. All-purpose cluster. Next one is what? Job cluster. Next one is what? SQL warehouse cluster. It is newly introduced SQL warehouse cluster. And now then you have what's that pool cluster. Pool cluster. So these are the four type of clusters we have it. So now we are going to see the all-purpose cluster creation, guys. Slowly we will see what is the job cluster and rest of the clusters also. So what is an all-purpose cluster? So as you know that the cluster basically whatever we created, it consisting of what? Yes, guys, it's consisting of two nodes here. What is that? Master node and worker node. The same I can tell you here. Can you see here? Master node and worker node. The all-purpose cluster. So here you can see what's that? Master node and worker node. So instead of host, I'm changing it as a master node. Master node. Node means machine, guys. Worker node. Okay. Master node and worker node. That's it. Okay. So instead of guest, I will take it, change it as a worker node. Now, guys, that's it. So come back here. Can you see? Click on the create cluster. Everyone. And now, guys, here you have to provide the name of the cluster. So for that, UI preview will be there. Just disable it. You can provide it with your own name. So I'm using it cluster ADB as a name for this. And now we can operate the same cluster in three different modes based on the volume of the data. High concurrency, standard, and single node. Single node means there will be no workers, only master node will be there. And standard means what? It will have the master as well as a worker node. Okay, so I'm using the standard. Let it be. Can you see here, everyone? So here you have it, the worker nodes, whatever we have it, we have given. So here can you see standard means what? Collection of master and worker node. And then you have what is that? Everyone. So once it is there, so we will see this all. What is auto scaling? Enable auto scaling. Can you see it? The standard minimum worker nodes are 2, maximum is 8. That means 2 to 8, between 2 and 8, whatever the maximum worker nodes is needed, that will be taken up automatically when you use the enable auto scaling. If I disable the auto scaling, standard 8 cluster, that means you have to pay for 8 clusters now. So if you want the system to measure the number of clusters needed for you, just select the enable auto scaling option. That's it. Okay. So once you have done this enable auto scaling, and here you have to terminate after 120 minutes. Means what? If you just use terminate after 120 minutes, after 2 hours of unuse, after 2 hours of unuse, that cluster will be terminated automatically. Okay, it will be terminated automatically. That's it, guys. Now, finally, once it is done, click on the create, compute. So this will also take 2 to 3 minutes time to create the cluster, guys. Let's wait here.
Sir, I have a doubt here.
Please tell me.
Yeah, in Databricks runtime version, can we give any other name or can we give any other name?
Any other
In
also we can your runtime version, we can use it any other. Yeah,
the same,
runtime this one, huh?
yeah,
No, that is fixed basically.
that is fixed. Oh,
This you can change it. The versions of the master and worker, you can change that one.
okay, okay. So doubt is it is here Scala 2.1 some. If we want to use another languages, Python or how
We
it will.
have you have to change the standard DS 3v2 is there, na? In that you have
Yeah.
all the versions.
Okay, here. Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Sir, without Azure, can we use Databricks?
Pardon me?
Without Microsoft Azure, can we use Databricks?
You can use it community edition also, you can use it.
Okay.
That is one. And without the Azure, you can use the Databricks in GCP. You can use the Databricks in Amazon also.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
I have one doubt. What is the difference between Microsoft Azure and Databricks? Both are different.
Microsoft Azure, Databricks platform or Databricks is used in Azure or Databricks is used for Azure. You can say Databricks is used for Azure. In the same
Okay.
way, you can use the Databricks for Amazon also. You can use it. That means using
Okay.
the Amazon.
Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Just a minute. Let's create the cluster now. Now, guys, the cluster is ready. Can you see it? Right means the cluster is ready. Now, click on the new tab and use a notebook. Now, the notebook is ready now, everyone. This is the notebook. So, finally, this is the pattern how we started now. So, now this is the notebook. So, let's try this notebook now. I'm changing the notebook here. Can you see? The notebook, I'm changing it. Notebook 1. Some name you can give it. Now, you can use the notebook in 4 different languages. Can you see it? The notebook language itself, we can change it here. Python, SQL, Scala, R, or else the other ways. Each cell you can run in one language. This cell is running on Python language now. I can run the other cell on the SQL language or on the Scala language. In the same way, this is, can you see here? I can run another cell in R and another cell on SQL. Can you see here? 4 different languages we can use it here. In the same notebook, you can use the 4 different languages using the different cells, or the language of the notebook itself, you can change from default Python to any other language. Okay. And whereas these are called as what? Magic commands. Anyways, about these commands, okay, we will discuss it tomorrow, guys. How does the command works, everything, okay? And tomorrow's timings is 9 o'clock. We are starting a parallel 2 batches, guys. One is at 7 a.m. and this one is at 9 a.m. The 9 a.m. batch will be standard 9 a.m. There will no change in the batch timings now. So those who are convenient at 9 a.m., you can continue at 9 a.m. Okay. And those who are convenient to attend at 7 a.m. or you can attend 7 a.m. Okay. There will be different links for both the batches. So whichever the batch you are preferring to attend, just inform DurgaSoft, or else you can just message me as well. So that I will inform it to them. So this is my number. I'll give you my direct number. You can message me which batch you want to attend it with the following details. So my number is 8096374412. This is my number. And you can give your name, your email ID. Email ID is needed to give you the Google Drive access for all data, everything. And then even the recordings will be sent to the Google Drive access. And you can give ADB either 7 a.m. or else ADB 9 a.m. So you can use it 9 a.m. or 7 a.m., whichever you require it. You can just send it. Okay. That's it, guys. And 7 a.m. Okay. Already some 4 to 5 classes are completed in that. So if you want, you will be provided with the, this pre-recordings of those. You can follow the recordings. If not, you can attend those 4 or 5 classes in this one. and parallelly continue in the 7 a.m. batch, whichever you feel like. Okay. So that's the thing we have it, guys. So hope you will not have any issue on the timings part now. Yeah, tell me now. Again, any other questions if you have, please go ahead. Hello? Yeah, guys. So any other questions if you have, you can ask me now. So this is my number. You give your name, your email ID, and batch you wanted to attend 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. Just give me a WhatsApp me. WhatsApp me now. Okay. So once you WhatsApp, so I'll forward the same to DurgaSoft, or else you can ask DurgaSoft people to arrange it. Anything you can do it. Okay. That's it, guys. Anything else if you want, you can just tell me. Okay. So let's meet tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and as well as at the 7 a.m. So those who are willing, you can attend 7 a.m. as well. And those who are willing, you can attend 9 a.m. as well. Okay. That's it. Any other questions for me now?
So, sir, 9 a.m. batch will regular going on, right? I spoke with
Yeah,
Durga,
yeah, yeah.
so
Yes, regular.
okay,
There will be
okay,
no change.
okay, okay.
The timings will not change. The timings will
Mm-hmm.
be constant 9 a.m. only. 9 a.m. means 9 a.m. only. If those who are not convenient at 9 a.m., you can attend 7 a.m. also. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Sir, both batches with the ADP with
PySpark only. Same.
oh.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you everyone for attending. We'll meet tomorrow morning at 7 and 9 a.m. respectively. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.